I remember the first time I started cooking. My parents were the ones that taught me the basics like steak and bacon. Then when I moved out, that's when I started to push outside my comfort zone. I had zero clue where to start, so I just went with different recipes for steaks. The more I experimented with different spices and different ways of cooking, I fell more in love with food. I just kept cooking and cooking until I just had too much to eat. Instead of wasting the food, however, I gave it out to strangers outside, inviting them in my home and asking them how it was. Most enjoyed the food while few denied my request for them to taste test, so I just let them go. I kept this up for a year before I met a good friend. He was a hunter and told me that food tastes better when you get it yourself. I figured what could go wrong, so I joined him on his hunting trip, and he showed me how to skin and clean the meat of any animal I shot. He also taught me to not waste anything I hit, since it's just bad etiquette, and to also not let the animal suffer, so if I wasn't lethal it was best to put it down instead of waiting. I mainly hit deer since they were in abundance near where I lived, and that brought more popularity to my home. Sold of the antlers to some folk and the skin to others, and kept the meat to cook. So many people wanted me to sell my food, so I did, to buy more spices and herbs. After a week of this, I wanted to expand my palate. I went to the woods near my home and looked for a new animal. I got the few birds and the occasional rabbit. Yet my favorite was an unexpected game. I was trying to hit a deer, but I missed and hit something far better. It was my dear friend the hunter. He was clutching his side and grunting in pain. When he turned to look at me, I could see all the pain he was enduring, and his eyes were twitching faster than the whiskers on a rabbit. His smile faded when he saw me ready my rifle. Still, I followed his teachings and chose to put him down instead of him suffering. Then, like normal, I took my earnings into my shed and skinned them. I loved how cleanly my blade cut through the skin. It was easy, and the squelching of taking it off was always a satisfying noise, since in my opinion it was the hardest part. Then I drained any excess blood before taking my favorite cuts and grilling them. With my friend, however, that was a different story. I didn't know where to start, so I just started removing organs and placing them into jars to ship them out anonymously to random hospitals. With the actual meat, I took the big juicy bits first, and any I didn't like I fed to the animals in the wild. Then used his bones hang up a skeleton in the corner to refer back to. The smell of the grill on the muscles and fat was amazing. The public loved it too, so much in fact that they kept asking for more, and of course I had an obligation to continue. Started small by taking the people that no one would miss or notice on my hunting trips. A few of them were clever and caught on quick, but I enjoyed playing hide and seek. My favorite of the bunch was a guy named Andrew. Real smart guy and nearly got me, but he wasn't careful about where he stepped and his ankle was crushed in one of my modified bear traps. His tears falling onto the trap was hurtful to hear, and so were his pleas, but I could tell he was suffering, so I did what I had to. He was the best meal yet, and the only one I ate raw. He had a great natural flavor I couldn't hold back. His blood was all over me when I ate, and I didn't care. After him I went after those mainly hated by our small town. The ones with real dirty laundry. They weren't always the smartest folks around, but they did put up a fight. However, Andrew taught me that my hunting zone wasn't prepped enough, so after every hunt I modified the area a little more each time. Sounds of animals and such to disorient and distract my game. The game of hide and seek changed to cat and mouse, and they all just made it too easy. I wasn't having fun anymore, and as a result my cooking got bland and people forgot about me. That's how life was for a month, all boring and unfulfilling with nothing to really strive for, but you piqued my interest. He ran his tongue across your face. You have a certain flavor that reminds me of my favorite thing. It's Andrew, you remind me of Andrew. So now I want you to play your part. I'm going to release you and you're going to run into the woods and hide. Now make it interesting, Andrew, or you will regret it. You feel uncomfortable with his saliva on your face, but it was even worse now that he labeled you after his favorite kill. The man looked delirious with his grin widened with each slice his knife made on your restraints. His saliva falling on your face adding to river he made prior made the situation more unbearable, cause now it confirmed how much more he lusted over this moment. Once you were fully unrestrained, he turned around and set a timer for 10 minutes. It's a lot of time, but you won't make it out of the woods. My traps, make sure of it, and don't bother yelling for help either, since we are the only two people in this town, he said, turning to face you before turning back and cleaning his rifle. All you have to do is make it to dawn and I'll let you walk free, he said as you opened the shed door. You exit the shed to a pitch black sky. No moon to shine in front of you, and the only sound you can hear is the howling of the wind. Following his rules, you run far into the forest and try to hide in the safety of the tree branches above. After waiting for a little bit, you hear a bullet fire into the sky and the man yelled, "Ready or not, here I come." You sit still, bringing your legs to your chest and trying to stay as silent as possible. The flashlight attached to his rifle made it easy to see him. As he walked underneath, you could hear him licking his lips and slurping back his saliva. His breath grew unsteady and his thoughts went awry. You sit up and try to silently move away, but you slip and fall onto your back and making a thud as you hit the floor. You can see him turn around with his smile gone and a scorning frown taking its place. "No, no, no, no," the man says as he walks closer to you. "This wasn't how this was meant to go. You were meant to last longer. You were so close to being like him, but you failed." The man went silent and began to drag you by the leg back to the shed. "I lied when I said we were the only folks in town," the man said in a sad monotone voice. Once arriving back at the shed, he opened a door that was hidden by hanging meat. The other side was full of thin and sickly people all crowding around the door. "Don't waste nothing," the man said as he threw you to them and gave one of them a knife. The crowd wasted no time stabbing into your stomach and slicing it wide open. The feeling of their hands ripping at your insides and your blood leaving your body was enough to make you pass out in shock.